introduce Andrea James. Andrea is the founder and executive director of the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls, and the founder of Families for Justice is Healing. As a former criminal defense attorney and a formerly incarcerated woman, Andrea shares her personal and professional experiences to raise awareness of the effects of incarcerating women. Through her work, Andrea works to shift the criminal legal system from its focus on police and prisons to a system led by directly affected people from within their neighborhoods based on individual and community accountability. Welcome, Andrea.
You, Bianca, it's such a pleasure to be here.
So Andrea, I'm so excited to have you. And I think we're just going to start by grounding people all together in this notion of like what is provided inside facilities and what's not. There's a serious misconception that incarcerated people are provided everything they need in prison. But that's not even close to true. The system provides very little of what's needed to survive. And in the end, it becomes your family and the community you build inside that provides you with the things you need. Can you tell us about that? What were the types of things you did and didn't get when you came in? And how did the community around you get folks through that first few weeks?
Well, I think it's important that we remember that we are talking about prisons. The term facility kind of encompasses a whole lot of different kinds of places. Prisons are prisons. And as a woman coming into a prison or anybody entering prison, you have a period of time where even if you have access to resources prior to your incarceration, money for commissary, things that you could purchase that the prison doesn't provide, you're not going to have access to that commissary money as quickly as you would need to. There could be a significant lag. For me, I didn't get a PIN number to call my family, for instance, to use the phone for 2 weeks after I entered the prison. I didn't receive commissary money to provide me with very basic things such as soap, shower slippers. These things seem very insignificant until you realize that you have to take a shower and the last thing you want to do is to walk into that shower in your bare feet. And so I was in a particularly very old prison, the federal prison for women in Danbury, Connecticut. And in that prison, there was no soap afforded to women. We're women. We menstruate. We use the restroom like everybody else. We have several reasons why, particularly as women, we'd need to wash our hands. And it was just astounding to me to walk into a prison where you walk out of the bathroom stall and there's no soap at the sink.
I mean, Andrea, I think it's remarkable that you have to even make an argument for having soap, right? And I mean, women, men, others, like everyone, I think, in this particular day and age needs soap. But so can you tell us a little bit about what the community did to make up for that? And also then what are the particular ways in which women and women of color are even more deeply impacted by the lack of provision of basic supplies?
Yeah, well, we were very fortunate. I mean, there was a sisterhood in that prison, and I think that's why we were able in the very early days that we started to organize ourselves as a national council. That organizing actually started in the prison. And one of the very first things we did, even before we started to think about, the political side of organizing, was to organize ourselves around providing, whether it was the little oil bottles that they sold on commissary, when those were emptied out, we would save them and we would fill them up with those of us who could purchase the Ajax soap on commissary, the dish soap. We would use that to fill it up, and we would provide that for women that were coming in, or leave it in the bathroom so that the women had access to soap, just in an effort to just not continue to spread a lot of the things that we got in prison, just because skin rashes and other sorts of digestive problems and all gastrointestinal issues that you get when you live in a prison. The other thing that I wanted to talk about also, not just the matter of soap, but we were provided, I remember just not even wanting to use the feminine hygiene products that were made available to us. We had one kind of very small sanitary napkins that were provided to us, and the the inhumanity of it, when I think about it, they put them in a crate. I don't know if you know, like a milk crate, a plastic milk crate. And if you know, plastic milk crates have holes in them. And they put the milk crate on the floor in the bathroom. Now, not for all of the incredible effort that our sisters in the prison who had the jobs as orderlies that were assigned to cleaning the prison for us, they would be on their hands and knees trying to create clean bathrooms and clean surfaces for us. But we were in a very old, disgusting prison. They couldn't do enough to try and keep that prison clean. So to think about having to retrieve a sanitary napkin from a crate, a milk crate that sat on a floor that never looked clean, was just very unsettling. And so we would do things such as, I remember Shay would take up a collection, or when we would go to commissary, those of us who could, we would grab an extra bottle of soap, grab 2 or 3 extra shower slippers, try and, if we could, share at the end of our menstruation. And I don't mean to be too glib, but this is what it really is. We would save those pads that we were able to purchase on commissary if we could, to make up for the very insufficient pads that they provided us in the prison. And we would just, leave them on our locker or something so that women could, because there's nothing more just humiliating, Bianca, than to be a woman in a prison. When you're on your menstruation, you will soil your sheets. It will happen. Not because we want it to, it's just that's what happens. And it's not like being at home or being outside where you could go to the laundromat, or you could go, if you have a washer or dryer, and you can go take care of that and have clean sheets. You would have to go days or weeks sometime, depending on your rotation in laundry, to get things clean. And if you didn't know somebody who was in the laundry room or could help you out, it's absolutely humiliating to have to deal with. And so the blankets were the same blankets they used to clean up the toilets when they backed up in the prison. And you would get blankets that still had stains on them from literally wiping up feces. These were the kinds of things that people really don't think about, the depths of the inhumanity for prison. But for women, it is just a constant struggle from the time you walk into the prison, from the clothing we're given to wear, from access to appropriate products, soap, feminine hygiene products are just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I think that's a really dire image. And I know that that's even exacerbated as you then think about products for Black women and brown women who have particular needs around hair products and things like that. And the thing is, like, even when the system does provide supplies, some of the products that are actually provided by correctional supplies corporations like Bob Barker Company, and I want to be clear, this is not the same Bob Barker associated with The Price is Right, but these are actually dangerous products for human use. In fact, the Bob Barker Company sells what they call quote unquote maximum security all-in-one body wash, shampoo, and conditioner. And that product has a warning label that warns against skin contact. It's body wash and shampoo. They claim that this clear solution helps prevent contraband, and it's really astounding. What's at the root of all this?
Well, I mean, we're talking about a system of punishment. The system is in place to help people to heal, help people to advance their lives. And so prisons are the example of what the criminal legal system uses at the root of its rubric, of the whole rubric of its system, is about punishment and dehumanizing people. It is also the result of post-slavery. This is a system that was built initially for people that weren't still even considered full human beings. And so when we think about this, there's no question that, obviously more than Black folks are incarcerated in prisons these days, but the system itself still operates under that notion that incarcerated people aren't full human beings. We don't deserve to have the dignity of just having something that won't tear our skin up or burn our skin. Or for African American women, we have different hair products. We have different needs. We grease our scalps. We want to, be comfortable. We want to be able to braid. We want to be able to do things. We lock our hair. I mean, there's all kinds of products and that we just didn't have access to. We use cocoa butter. We use a number of different things that, you come in using these things and they're just not available to you once you get into the prison, and asking for them to be put on a commissary list. It will be 2 years before you even begin to get anybody to even pay attention to your request, never mind to get it on the list.
Okay, so at the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls, you have been fighting to free women and girls. But you're also fighting to improve conditions for those behind bars for all of the reasons that you raised tonight, which seems so glaring and obvious. In 2010, you were working with women who drafted the Dignity for Incarcerated Women Act. Can you tell us about that bill? How did it come about? What did it seek to accomplish? And was it successful?
Well, in 2010, we were in prison and we realized that we didn't hear the voices of or the ideas or the needs of women. And that's why we organized ourselves into the National Council. It was much later that we started to work with Senator Booker's office a few years ago on the Dignity for Incarcerated Women Act. Now, we have a saying at the National Council, nothing about us without us, and it applies to us as well. If you're not directly affected, even as a directly affected person for that particular issue, it's not your place to begin to work on these things. And so the very first thing that we did was that we sent the idea of working on a bill called the Dignity for Incarcerated Women Act into the federal prison. It was our sister's bill. We were now formally incarcerated women. That was our sister's bill in both federal and state prisons for the sisters inside to begin to work on what their needs were, what they wanted Senator Booker to know about, what they needed the world to know were the things that they were asking for to just give them dignity. To provide them with dignity, tampons, not just pads. I mean, whatever it was that they wanted, we came out back and forth under a succession of meetings inside with our sisters who wrote that bill, and bringing that information out and helping Senator Booker to cobble those things into the very first Dignity for Incarcerated Women bill. And lucky enough, we were able to get that bill. Not the bill passed, unfortunately. Women still, we have to be hyper vigilant and stay on top of anything and everything that has anything to do with us. The bill didn't really go anywhere on the federal level, but using VAWA and some other opportunities to piece some of those other put those pieces into other bills, we were able to get some more things done. But the regulations did change, at least, which is another avenue that you can use when legislation kind of stalls. The policy changed in the Federal Bureau of Prisons so that women do have access to tampons and more appropriate, for age appropriate, experienced appropriate products.
It's incredible. The act, right, is the Dignity for Women's Act, just that's what you have to ask for, just simple dignity. To keep up with Andrea's work, follow her on Twitter at Andrea C. James, and the National Council at the National Council US. You can also visit nationalcouncil.us. Thank you so much, Andrea, and I will have you up later.